Welcome to Platypus, Scotsman. Hope everything's treating you well. And if this is your first time visiting us, welcome. If not, if you're returning, glad you're joining us for another video. Today we're going to do a video on another base video, miniature base video. And it's going to be on a temple or temple ruins. The hardest part to me, and as far as temple ruins, I haven't found any good faces or anything I could really cast that doesn't have copyright issues on them. And I'm not that good of a sculptor. I'm going to try some sculpting here shortly because when I went up to Flaming Gorge on a fishing trip, I was thinking of different ways I could sculpt where it meets my abilities and my skill level. So I think I'm going to try doing that and see if I can make some things I can turn into ruins. But if not, that's how it rolls. But anyway, without any more pontificating on my behalf, let's get into this video and let's go. This base has a few raw components. It has, well, obviously needs sandpaper. These are her starch molds, but you can make your own casts. I'm going to refer to a link to the obelisks on how you can make some casts yourself with foam core, and you can just do that with these and create your own. This is just the kind of like the sludge that comes off the side when you're casting. This is actually Merlin's magic. It's a little bit harder. I save these just for occasions like this that I'm going to make tile pieces out of, but you can also use the sludge off of this as well. This is a skull cast I did with silicone rubber. This is probably your hardest part to get or to find, is a face or something like that. There are several companies that sell them that you might be able to find faces, and this is another cast that was done when I did the Orgoth Tower for No Quarter magazine. And so now what I'm going to do is I just want to sand these down to get them smooth so I can just kind of chip them away. Now, since this is going to be on a miniature base, there's not going to be worrying about a lot of handling or severe play, so it's okay to use plaster. I'm going to sand all these down to get them where I can use them, and so I'll get back to you after that. Now, one of the things I'd want to do beforehand is I'd want to figure out where my miniature is going to be placed before I started building the base. This isn't going to have a miniature just because this is a tutorial, but I'd do something like this. I'd kind of get an idea. As I would glue things on, I'd put the miniature on there and make sure it's okay if I put those things there. So I would always have the miniature in mind when I'm building a base. The one thing you can do is you can prop your miniature higher to where you can have more things on the bottom. So that's another thing you can do as well. But I'd always keep in mind where I want my miniature when I'm doing it. Now you can use various tools when you're breaking this apart. These are just some wire cutters. I'm just going to rough the edges up because the one thing you can do is when you're doing this, you can hide things that you don't like with foliage, since this is going to be an overgrown temple type situation. This is a nail punch. I'm just going to kind of break it a little bit. I'm just going to use a jewelry saw or my hobby saw. Just kind of make a line in it like it's a tile piece. Probably should have did it before I broke it. That's okay. Now I'm just going to glue some pieces down. I'm gonna let them dry, and then I'm gonna start chipping away at them to make them look like they've been there for a lot longer. And same with the skull. I'm gonna chip it away and so I can place it down as well. Now that I have stuff down generally the size I want, I'm still going to start chipping away at it. And these are just broken pieces that I had from when I was just whittling things down. And now I'm just kind of miscellaneously placing them. What I'm going to do now is I've sifted some sand and I'm going to fill all the gaps. I'm using super glue, not the gel. Now I'm just going to use a toothpick to spread it around. Now you could use PVA glue for this. I've done both, but in this particular case I'm using super glue. And then just cover it with sand and let it sit for a while to where it all dries and shake it all off and get to that point. All right, the temple base is dry, so I'm just going to pull it out and brush all the sand off. All right, with this, I'm going to paint it terracotta as a base coat. Probably have to do a couple coats, but that's okay. I'm going to do a wash of Agrax Earthshade, and I might do a couple of them, depends how dark it puts it or it makes it. I'm going to do a little bit of Druchii Violet now. I guess when I said a little bit, I'm covering everything. I'm going to throw a little bit of Anthonio Camel Shade in there too. Not all over, just a couple spots. And yes, I'm contaminating my shade. I'm wiping it off with my rag, so it's not going to be that bad. It won't be the first, won't be the last. We'll do a little bit of crimson now. Now that everything's dry, I'm going to go back and do the original color of terracotta and just do some dry brushing. And dry brushing is just removing paint off your brush by like a paper towel or in my case a rag, and having very little on the end. That way you can just kind of apply it, and how much pressure you put on here is determining how much you'll apply and also how much paint you have on your brush. I'm going to dry brush the next layer up, some dark golden rod. Each time I dry brush, I want to dry brush less and less. I don't want to cover the previous one. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes that changes as I'm dry brushing. Depending on what I'm seeing and how things are turning out, I might cover up a little bit more. But I still believe in working in layers just because you never know. This is maple sugar tan, and I'm going to, as always, not have very much paint on my brush and just kind of hit the edges more for the most part, but that may change as I'm going along. What I want to do now is just with the same color, just come back and hit some highlights or some little pieces like this just to make them pop a little bit more, stand out. And also just do some of these pieces right here. So I'm gonna start applying foliage and different things like that. I'm gonna use this tacky spray, and I've sprayed the top of this grass. This is a real fine turf. That way it kind of sticks to the top of the turf. And then what I'll do is I'll get my X-Acto knife, just kind of run it through. As I waited too long and all the stuff fell off. So I'm gonna spray it again real quick and try that again. There we go, that's a little better. Now I've dipped the bottom of it in glue. I'm just gonna put this over here. Now the reason why I put it next to something like this is because actually what I wanna do is I'm gonna wipe that away. I want it there. Let's try again. I want it down this crack right here. But the reason why I'm putting it next to this other tall piece is it helps protect the grass. Now my brush is all sticky. Everything is sticky. Oh, crap. I'm gonna use these tufts from Army Painter. I have a Highland tuft, I have a Winter tuft, and I have a Wasteland tuft. And I'm gonna start using them to just randomly put them on this piece. One thing I want to do is I kind of want to put a few of them together just to show that they're spreading and not just kind of a spot here, a spot there. I'm gonna apply some grass or some static grass. I probably should have went in the other order, but I got impatient, so this is how I'm gonna do it. Right now I'm just using regular PVA glue. That way I don't have the quick dry time like I would with the other, with the Turbo Tacky. Now I'm just gonna let that dry before I shake it off. Call it good. Well, that's a wrap on that tutorial. I'm pleased with the outcome and how it turned out. One thing is I don't have a whole lot of options on faces or things like that. So what I'm gonna have to probably try to attempt to do is learn how to sculpt better and maybe try to do that. I've thought of some ways to do it. So I think I'm gonna make that attempt and see if I can make some things to where I can have more options than just a skull. So not everything has skulls in it, because I don't like everything with skulls. I know there's people who do, but I don't want everything blanketed that way. I want other ruins and other faces and things like that. If I could find something that wasn't copyrighted that I could cast and look good, I'd probably do that, and then cast it out of plaster Paris so I could doctor it up and chip it up and everything. I like using plaster Paris on this because on a miniature, you're usually not going to get a bunch of abuse on a miniature because you're trying to protect your miniature. So the plaster Paris is fine, in my personal opinion. You can use whatever material you want. You can use Merlin's Magic. It's just harder to work with, as you saw how hard it was to chip the skull when I was chipping the skull. It's a little bit more difficult, and these are a little bit more difficult to work with. And I could use plaster on that too, but I planned on monkeying around with this a little bit more and having a little bit more options, but I like the Hearst Arts molds just for this reason. So they have some very basic molds that I can cast fairly quickly and sand and chip up and really have a good result and have a variety every time. So I do like that. Having preset molds there are advantages to them. You don't always have to have what the mold looks like. Depending on the material you cast it with, you can doctor it up, especially when it comes to bases. Bases, you have a lot more options in, well, excuse me, in my personal opinion. So that's one thing you can do. And if you want to see pictures of this and other things that we do, you can go over to our Instagram account. It's Platypus Scotsman. That's where we have all the finished pictures of these, so you can examine them a little bit closer if you're so inclined. And we also have a Facebook page where we post things, and we also have a Facebook group, which is Platypus Scotsman Lounge. And we have a blog that we're starting up and running, and it's going to have mostly whips and tutorials and things like that. Once we get that really rolling out, we'll do that. I'd like to thank our patrons at this time too. I very appreciate your support and the things that the support that you give this channel and to help us grow and to move forward in the future. Also too, if you really enjoy this video, share it with people just to get it out there so people can use the information that's on there, and also to help us grow. I'm not gonna lie, it's a selfish pitch. Can't think of anything else. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you are having fun in your hobby. I think that's the most important thing, is have fun in your hobby. Remember what my mother used to always say, that anyone can do art. Ciao.